So I served from, I believe it was December 2007 to December 2009. And in terms of geography, the Brisbane mission was fairly large. I think one of the larger missions. I can't speak for any of the missions that might have like huge tracts of tundra, or I don't know. But comparatively to a lot of I would imagine the United States missions, it was pretty big. Most of the mission is around Brisbane City. There's a little bit that goes inland, and then there are like districts and zones that are spread out up the coast. And so I remember at one point I was transferred up north, as they call it, and I got on a bus by myself, and I remember being told that I would be on the bus for about 24 hours. So it was a long drive from Brisbane, kind of the Brisbane suburbs, up to the town of Townsville. And I remember I said, okay, I'm going to see how far I can get into the Book of Mormon. So I remember like reading as much as I could. I think I got as far as Mosiah, but I think I'm a slow reader, so maybe someone else could have done it faster. And it was funny because I left on a fast Sunday, so I like didn't eat until like, I don't know, it was like 12 at some point. And I remember buying 2 meat pies and thinking that they were very delicious. At any rate, yeah, in terms of geography, the mission is quite large. I think Townsville, a 24-hour bus ride up from Brisbane, was I think only halfway up the mission. So up from Townsville, there were a few like other. The further north you get, the more they're spaced out. I can't remember. There's I think Bundaberg. And if you've ever had peachy or ginger beer, the sodas, they're from that area. There was Townsville, and then I think above that was how they say it, Cairns, but it's spelled Cairns, so it looks like Cairns. At any rate, Townsville and Cairns are more starting to become tropical. I would say Brisbane City is more in the sphere of, I would say it's very similar to California in terms of weather and temperament, and even the plants. Not wildlife, right? Australia has a very peculiar wildlife there with the marsupials like the koala bear and the kangaroo, and things like that. It's a long mission. I don't think anyone ever got up to the top of the mission. I think at the top of the mission you start to get into territory that's more, is it, I want to say Fiji, but that's not the right one. Maybe it is. I can't remember. Anyway, it starts to feel more Pacific, kind of island, or the further north you get. So yeah, that's Australia in terms of geography. So in the suburbs and the city, the church is fairly well established. I think up in Townsville they were still a branch, and I think Cairns was also a branch. So they were smaller, definitely up there. Very fun, very good people. You get a certain kind of intimacy with the members in a branch that you don't get to kind of on a larger like ward or stake level. So I've lived in Utah, Missouri, Idaho, Arizona, and California. So I've seen a lot of different densities of membership, right? Utah, very dense. Idaho, like Utah, like, right, I go to high school and like 95% of the people are LDS and go to seminary, things like that. I went to Orem High. Orem's right next to Provo. And then I also lived in Boise, Idaho, and it seemed about 50-50. And then I lived in Missouri, where at the time our stake went down into Arkansas. And I remember home teaching, it was like, or like driving to church was like a half an hour drive, and home teaching was like, right, a half an hour. But like here in Utah, like basically like I think there's only like 2 houses in our ward boundaries that don't go to our ward. At any rate, I would compare Australia more to Missouri, where people are maybe members probably live like 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes away from each other, but it wasn't so spread out that you felt kind of isolated. I want to say that the church was established in New Zealand first, and kind of moved to Australia. I think New Zealand was one of the first international temples built, if I remember right. The New Zealand temple is a lot older than I think it came before any of the Australian temples. Australia takes a lot of its culture from England, right? So there are a fair amount of Catholic members there. There's also a good amount of Anglican, and I think there's a growing number of evangelical churches as well. I felt like I ran into a lot of agnostic people, and if I understand agnosticism right, they are mostly undecided, or they're decidedly undecided, or okay with the ambiguity of the situation of spirituality or eternity. I did meet some Sikh. So Australia has a fair amount of people from India. They have great Indian food there. They have terrible Mexican food. And so yeah, it was interesting to see, and there were a lot of Asian cultures there as well, because they're more in that area of the world, right? Closer to these Asian and Indonesian cultures.